Good evening, everyone. I'm Lee Stoutemire, Stoutamire. I'd like to introduce everyone on the panel before we begin. I'll start with LaShonda, Lo or Shonda. We have April Richardson, who I just met yesterday, a pleasure. Amber, and last name, please, I'm forgetful.
Robinson.
Robinson, thank you. And next to her is Kenton Myers. Before we get started, I would just like to say, if this topic is too sensitive for you, feel free to leave at any time. We're going to make this as uncomfortable and real as possible. It's sad that the times that we're living in now is the only reason that we're having discussion. Regardless if you feel it or not, all the special interest groups that are out in the world, interpreters are one as well. And for us to be prejudiced, racist, working against each other defeats the purpose of trying to develop a rapport or a profession for that matter. And call it what you will, I'm gonna go between Black and African American. It doesn't matter, people of color. With that statement, people of color, it seems that a lot of people only have 3 colors in mind. That's white, Black, and brown. But there's more to it than just those 3 colors. But tonight we're focusing on the Black, the African Americans, and how we feel with what's going on, how we feel within our interpreting profession. We don't feel like equals. You may pretend to treat us like equals, but it's not always the case. We have several topics that we're going to talk about tonight, and I guarantee you someone's going to feel insulted. Someone's going to say, oh, I never thought about it that way. And I'm going to, as we go along, I'm going to ask each panel member to make a comment on each topic if they would like to. As we go along, I'm sure it's going to get very heated. But you have to understand, this is coming from a place of long time suffering. I'm old enough to say that this is my second round going through this type of situation. So for me to see it twice in my lifetime, it's sad. This should have already been put to an end. Now, with that being said, I would like to get started on some of the topics that we thought were important to bringing to the light. You may not think it's anything important, but to us, it has a deep impact on how we do our job, how we view ourselves out in the community, how the community views us. And as interpreters, you need to understand and know that just because we're a different color does not make us less intelligent than anyone in this room. No matter what your level of degree is, I don't care if you have a PhD, that does not always make you the smartest person in the room. That makes you the most educated because you remembered something. But to remember something and to apply something is completely different. We have so much going on about statues, flags. The true root of the problem is within the hearts of the people who have that mindset. And until they can change that, taking down any monument you want is not going to affect a change. Now, with that being said, I want to look at the term Black as in gimmick or as in token. For many of you, you're probably thinking, oh, I would never do that. But you subconsciously do it. The only times when we really need to be in the foreground, you don't do it simply because you want to grab that spotlight. Look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing for this group of people. That's not always the best response. Understand, if someone's not available, that's a different story. Don't come up to us at the last minute because you realize I can't deliver. Have the courtesy to approach us as a professional. Understand, we may not always want to do it simply because we know what you're up to, first of all. And on the other side of that, I like classical music. I like opera. I like, so who's to say I may not want to go interpret at a theater? So you have to keep these things in mind and stop pigeonholing us into what you think is appropriate for us to do. We've all had the training. We've all had the hard knocks in school. We know what we're doing, or else we wouldn't be here tonight. So, panel, token, anyone? Your feelings on it?
I think personally for me, being what you'd like to be a new interpreter, it seems that there's already a list set up for me. Being a new interpreter and being a Black woman, I've noticed a lot more offers for theater plays that are related to Black history. And the approach is not, your skills are amazing, I've seen you interpret before. It's more of, we don't feel comfortable. You're Black, you can do it. This is easy for you. This is topics that you've seen all your life. It's fine, but you have to realize some of the information that is in those theater plays are there for a reason. And that topic could be traumatic for me, and you don't know that. Of course, I'm going to say yes, because I'm a new interpreter and I need the experience, but I'd rather you put me there because of my skills, because of my theater background, and not because of the color of my skin.
Thank you, Amber. Anyone else?
I hear that a lot with Black interpreters. They, I should say, we feel like it's, oh, you're Black, I need you. It's not about, you're not thinking about my skill. You just want a Black interpreter. And it's offensive because we've worked hard to get where we're at. We have skills to do what we do. So you need a Black skilled interpreter. It's just not a Black interpreter. So what Amber said, it's very common. I hear that often with Black interpreters. They feel like between closer to Black History Month is when they start getting more requests. And then the taper off as Black History Month stops. So that has to change.
Thank you.
And I agree as well. There's been plenty of events that have happened in the state of Alabama where it's the end, the interpreting staff has already been secured, and then I'll get an email or a message saying, oh, we want to know if you will work this event because we really want to show Alabama's diversity and that we have a diverse group of interpreters. And initially, the first few times I was excited. I was like, oh, I get to be a part of this big event. And then, I mean, I've talked about it with Shonda several times. I stop and I think, I'm like, well, if I wasn't Black, you know, the list of interpreters was already set. So am I just there to kind of check off the diversity box, or am I there because I'm a skilled interpreter that's appropriate for the task at hand? And so that happens a lot. We want to show the diversity. We want to show that Alabama has, you know, all this diversity, when the reality is that we don't.
Thank you, Kenton.
I'd like to chime in. I did a lot of reading and research before this panel. And I came across a quote from a Black interpreter who had been in the profession for over 19 years. And something she said really stuck with me. She said, "I'm always told by deaf African Americans that I'm Black first and then I'm deaf." And that stuck with me because sometimes I feel like I'm Black first and then I'm an interpreter.
Thank you. Thank you, April. And going back to what Kenton was saying, the pick you because many businesses, especially in Alabama, are guilty of keeping someone around or hiring someone around, as Kenton said, to check off the diversity box. Look what I did. It gets old after a while. Now, if you got game once you get to wherever you're going, that's fine. But to be picked simply because I don't want anyone to look at me the wrong way because I didn't pick them because of their color. And it gets to a point where trying to smile is impossible. We try to be professional. We try to go with the flow. But after a while, getting cornered, you're going to fight back. And as I said in the beginning, it is sad that it is taking the events in the world for us to actually have this type of forum. Know the percentage of Black interpreters in the field. You know that we lack for that mentoring that we yearn for, with someone that can understand where we're coming from, but at the same time, others respect the fact that we have the knowledge and the skill. And with that being said, I would like to move to mentors for those of us who are non-white, shall we say. So most of my mentors were Caucasian, and that was for the lack of interpreters in the area who were Black. Most of us that were Black, we tried to work together. We were always huddling together to make sure the other one succeeded. We were always trying to help each other. Occasionally you'd have someone come in. Were they genuine? Who knows? But I will say my instructor for my ITP had a golden heart, was genuine in their concern for me to be successful. So I can't say anything bad about them. And understand, when I say them, I'm not talking about everyone. I know everyone's not walking around with hate-filled hearts or thinking I'm better than you because I am. It's just that when I started in the field to actually go to a NAOB conference with Black Deaf advocates, to actually see my counterparts, my colleagues interpreting. It's very hurtful for someone to say, You're too expressive. You would never be able to do this. And I'm thinking, well, ASL is an expressive language. So how can I be too expressive? I almost quit because of that. I almost dropped out of school because of that one comment. Had it not been for me going to experience Niobe and BDA together in a summit to see other interpreters like myself doing what they're supposed to do, beautiful language, beautiful expression. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I do that. So why am I being criticized for not having the box as they have in interpreting settings? And I'm not always saying that we will always be qualified for events that come along, but consider us for the skill first instead of the color. Pet peeve number 3,556. Antiquated thinking. If you want to end your friendship with me, tell me you don't sound Black. Black does not have a sound. I sound educated. There's a difference. I don't tell you, well, you don't sound white. That doesn't, you don't know how hurtful that is. Instead of telling someone, oh, they sound very intelligent. Understand, saying it the correct way, instead of, oh, they're very articulate. What is that supposed to mean? Very articulate means, oh, they don't sound like they're from the hood. And that's what it insinuates. All of us here on this panel, we're very articulate people. And just because you talk to me on the phone and then you meet me in person and almost pass out, not my fault. I do not apologize for having a mother that taught me how to speak correctly. I do not apologize for going to school and becoming educated. I will not apologize. So if you can't handle the fact that I know how to articulate, you need to move on. Remove yourself from my circle. Panel.
Agree. On the money. On the money.
I do want to go back to ITPs and mentoring. ITPs have to change. Like there's no question about it. Like Lee was saying, I've met so many students who either drop out or interpreters that have been in this field have to keep pushing them to keep going because their professors are nitpicking about everything. Same thing white students are doing, but for some reason, the target happens to be Black. I don't understand it. The resources, the materials that are used are not diverse. So when I get an intern, I already know that they have not been exposed to Black death, to Black culture. So I'm able to do that, but and then going into the mentorship part, if you have a white mentor and a Black mentee, that's fine for skills, to help them develop their skills, but you can't teach them what we go through as Black professionals. And what I mean is you've never had a caller pop up on your screen and look at you and sign, oh, wow, cool, nigger interpreter you. You don't know how to help them process that. You've never been out in the community and a Black person says, oh, I don't have that information. And the white person says, oh, take her outside and hang her.
It's my turn to speak. You said all that. Both of you just, I guess the ITP student. I'm just playing. I'm not going to like disregard my ITP that I came from. However, I will say there is a deep lack of diversity and diversity training that's there. It's lacking. I personally, I had many white mentors, but I found myself looking for friendship more from my Black interpreters because they were close in age with me. And luckily, my Black mentors, they're right here on camera with me. You know, they're the people that you see every day. And I would always, after I got done being with my white mentors, I would always go to them and go to my Black mentors and just be like, okay, this is happening. What did you do? What would you do if this situation was to happen to you? Whereas my white mentors, example, clothing. As a white mentor, I apologize, but I'm going to say this.
Girl, don't apologize.
You cannot speak on my clothing.
No.
You can't. You don't know. You don't realize that already in society there's already a view. You know what I'm saying? There's already someone looking at you a type of way. And for you, and as you're standing up there interpreting and your mentor, all they're saying is, your clothes are wrong, your clothes are wrong, your clothes are wrong. You're up there thinking about your clothes. You're not thinking about the topic that's being discussed. You're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I wore the wrong pants today and my mentor is going to say something to me about it. It's just going to, it's a lot to the point where now it carries over. It's not little ITP student anymore. It's interpreting professional. And I'm still thinking, oh my gosh, my clothes are wrong, my clothes are wrong, my clothes are wrong. And I'm always asking other people to look at my clothes, like my mother. And it's always been hair and clothes. I luckily had one mentor to explain to me, this is how your world is going to work. And this is what you're going to expect. And I want you to hold your head up high. I loved her for that. But there are some mentors that need to understand that already in society we are looked down upon. And now you're coming at me from the interpreter side talking about clothing. It's very, you know, that little sign, you know, not a confidence boost, confidence of that, you know what I'm saying? I had to use that a lot. There you go. That word right there, educated word right there, just came out your mouth. Amen. We gonna work on that.
Before anyone else say anything, I'd like to add to what you said about clothing. We come in an array of colors, as you can see by looking at us on the screen right now. But the first thing to pop out of your mouth, because you are so used to tradition of Black, meaning the clothing, not the person. You're so used to that word, you know, wearing Black clothes, wearing this, that if we put on something dark without even looking to see if it's a contrast, you've already said, well, you can't wear that. I've seen some of you in some pants that the fashion police would put you under the jail, okay? I've seen you in clothes with the flowing sleeves. But if we have anything that is close to Afrocentric, close to what we're comfortable in, and it's solid, but yet it offends you because it's not milky white norm mainstream. I'm going to pick on my interpreter for a minute. Look at Matthew. He's got on a dark shirt, but you see him fine. I know people, and I have worked with these people, that if I wore that, well, you shouldn't wear Black because you're Black. Well, no, I'm not. This background is Black. And if I was Black, you wouldn't see me. Now, you can't see my hair because it is Black. Thank you. So, I mean, but these are the type of things that you have got to stop doing. I went to a conference before, and they sent out a form letter to all the interpreters. Please make sure you wear Black, navy blue, forest green, or brown. Never met me. I show up at the conference and I walk right up to the coordinator and I go, "Hi, I'm Lee Stoudemeyer and I'm sorry, but I couldn't comply to your letter." And she nearly passed out. And she apologized to me for the rest of the week. "I am so sorry. As you see, we're so white up here and blah, 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 blah." A good coordinator would have said, "Wear contrasting colors." And I don't know if whoever has talked to me before about colors, if you're present or not, but I'm going to say this. We don't always want to wear tan. We don't always want to wear that beige color that you want to always pigeonhole us in. We look good in different colors just like you do. So if it offends you at what I'm wearing, maybe I shouldn't be your team. And maybe you should not ask me to work with you or for you ever again, because I'm going to dress the way I think I need to look. Sure, if it's a room that's low lighting, I'm going to wear the appropriate clothing. I'm not stupid. I know how to make that adjustment. And so you're going to have to learn how to allow us to make that adjustment. Kenton, any comments?
I mean, pretty much everything y'all have said. But back to the mentoring thing, I didn't go through an ITP. I learned sign language from deaf people. And so I kind of, for the first time when you were saying that, you almost quit because, of the comments about you're too expressive. I didn't have any formal, like, this is how you should do it, this is how you shouldn't do it. So I just kind of made it up as I, was learning and from the deaf people that taught me. But what I did notice was, me being in Birmingham, there weren't any Black male interpreters, even close. Probably the first few interpreters I met was like, "Hey, do you know Lee?" That's always the opening.
Right.
"Oh, Lee, you remind me a lot of Lee." And I didn't know you, but you have a lot in common with Lee, and they didn't know me, but I'm assuming it's just because you were the only Black male interpreter that was working. But it was pretty frustrating looking for mentors, and kind of like what you said, like when I met Shonda on accident, I kind of like just kind of latched onto her, like, I want to work with you on a team together. I want to, I want to do everything possible with you, because like she was kind of like my safe space for a long time.
Right.
And all of first I was looking for a Black male interpreter to kind of look up to and emulate and get feedback from, because that's who can relate to me the most. But you live in Mobile and I live in Birmingham, and you're the only other one besides Paul who works full time. And so I went down and I was like, okay, just a male interpreter. And literally every white male interpreter, my first experience was horrible. Like it was very, "Oh, hey," it was very what we call nice nasty. It was very like, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad to have another male in the field." And then, I've asked, my first few teaming assignments as a professional interpreter, I asked my white male team for feedback, and I literally got and walked off. I've gotten "Oh, you're too expressive, you're too all over the place, you move too much, you're giving me vertigo," all of these negative things. And then on top of that, some of the stuff Shonda said, trying to figure out how to navigate this profession, running into VRS for a few hours, getting the pop-up, "Oh, Black transfer, oh, nigger interpreter," all of that, and then going to another assignment and dealing with that same thing from consumers. It's just a lot that we deal with, but we have to, smile, and we have to be pleasant, because then there's a whole laundry list of stereotypes that go along with anything that we do that isn't pleasant. And I echo all of the comments that you made about clothes. For new interpreters being Black, me being the only male Black interpreter in this area, when I am offered big assignments, I'm nervous naturally. Walk in pleasantly, and the first thing I get is, "Well, that's too dark," or "Why'd you choose that color? We're not gonna be able to see you." Just immediately like negative, not even, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you ready? Do you need anything?" It's just immediately, "That's too dark. You should have picked another color." And I'm like, "What do you want me to do now?" First of all, I'm already here. And second of all, like just out the gate negativity. And that happens so often from males, females. But it never happens with other POC interpreters. It's always white interpreters. that make those kind of comments to me. So, I mean, we pretty much had those shared experiences.
Yeah. Before you start, April, I'm sorry. I know one of my favorite interpreters. Sorry, everybody else, but I love this woman. Jolinda Greenfield is a prime example of middle finger to you. And that's because Jolinda would wear this red power suit with a black blouse. Fabulous. She looked good. You can see her hands. But every person that was not an African American interpreter dogged her out about her clothes. But they could see her. That wasn't the point. She just shouldn't have worn those colors because they didn't like that color. And so, you know, when you get to the petty part of it, and as you were saying, Kenton, you get bashed. Then you've got to go into your next appointment. Then you got to go to the next appointment. And the sad part about it is not all, but most won't check to see how you're doing. We have very limited resource of people who we can vent to, people who will understand our perspective. It's not always about black, white, but when we're getting into that moment, we want somebody who can relate to where we're coming from. You don't have to worry about being called that. We do. I left an appointment because a guy called me that, and I said, fine, find you another interpreter. He's chasing me out the door. No, 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 no. And I'm going to tell you, I know it wasn't professional, but I said, fuck you. And I meant that because nobody is going to insult me and then expect me to do a job for them. My parents respected me. You're not my family. You're my work family, but you're not my family. So that does not give you the right to disrespect me. I don't care who you are, what your position is. You will not disrespect me. I will fight you tooth and nail until I retire, die, or get fired. One of the two. But I am not going to be disrespected. Sorry. April.
Actually, I want to piggyback a little bit off something you mentioned about the lack of resources. And I'll go ahead and throw this out there because, you know, my time is short this evening. So
Right.
But this is a topic I wanted to bring up, and I think this is a nice segue to it. I was less than a year on the job as a VRI, and I got a call at my station. And Shonda's story is very similar to my own, in that the caller, you know, I greet the caller with a smile and that ready to connect as I was trained to do. Caller took one look at me, and that was it. Started to curse me out, used every racial slur there is in the book. So in that setting, professional setting, company setting, I had 4 resources available to me in order to process that. So first, I could submit a report that didn't allow any type of personal input. I had to choose between these vaguely worded, broadly generic statements that in no way came close to the fraction of hatred that that person had for me. And I also think it's worth noting too that if I was a deaf caller, I could submit a comment or a complaint, and there's a beautiful little text box. And you can type as much as you want to explain your experience, but I didn't have that option.
Right.
Or number 2, I could debrief with another VRI, but there was not another VRI in my center that looked like me. I could call the employee assistance program, and I could speak to a person who bore an uncanny resemblance to the caller that had just harassed me and called me every name in the book.
Right, right.
Or I could talk to a supervisor who, again, did not look like me. So then I took it upon myself, because I'm a proactive person. You know, I'm not going to sit and wallow in it. What can I do about it? So I took it upon myself to take company sponsored professional development courses that were supposed to focus on how to deal with difficult callers, how to process the trauma of an abusive call. And again, there was no one who looked like me. My presenters did not look like me. My fellow participants did not look like me. And so I often didn't even feel comfortable, even in that safe setting, bringing up my experience, because what can they say to help me? And the one time I did bring it up in that setting, I was again referred to the employee assistance program to talk to the man who looked just like the caller who had abused me. So, you know, I didn't go back to work for a long time as a VRI. And even now, I can say honestly that I do the bare minimum there. Because when you have to serve as the face of a company, and then you get exposed to this racism, this prejudice, whether it's overt or it's subtle, and then that company doesn't provide you with the resources to help you deal with the trauma that comes from that, you know, what I no, I don't enjoy doing it. I don't know if anyone else on the panel had a similar experience or wants to add to that, but
I was doing a lot of VRS up until George Floyd was murdered. I can't go back right now because I already know somebody's going to have something to say, and I will probably lose my job because I'm not holding my tongue anymore. People don't scared. They want to make sure everybody's okay. Then you have the white people that have something to say. It's a mess, and we have to expose ourselves to it. And right now, I just can't. And I know another interpreter, Black interpreter, she tried, and it was just a lot of trauma back to back to back to where she had to say, hey, I can't finish this shift. Like, I can't do it. And I'm at the point where we have to take care of ourselves now. Like, we have to make sure that we're okay. If I'm not okay, I can't take care of my consumer. I can't. So I'm right there with you. It's very, very difficult to go back right now.
And April, you mentioned overt and covert racism. I see it all. Look at me that way. Don't look at you that way, but I am that way. And so you get the overt people I would rather deal with. At least I know where I stand with you. Not very close. It's the covert people that give you the smile and pat you half-heartedly on the back and go home and talk about you. And I don't mean talk about your skills. They talk about you as a person. And I'm very good with feeling people out. So I know who you are. So don't try me. Okay. And like you said, working and not having someone that you can actually sit down and talk to. I made a statement a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't matter how much training you have, you will never understand everything about us. And so, April, in your case, not being able to sit down and talk to someone about a race issue, everybody that's a therapist, everybody that's trained to do whatever, and I'm talking about others outside of POC Nation, they automatically assume, oh, well, I can help you. I get you. No, you don't. No, you don't. And so with the employee assistance program, it sucks for us. Sucks. I went through a very difficult time years ago. I was handed a piece of paper, here, go take care of it. Nobody sat down to ask me, are you okay? Nobody. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't trust them to ask me because I don't feel the sincerity when they ask. So, LaShonda,
Mm-hmm.
this is your baby you spoke on last weekend. Would you like to take the floor?
Oh, microaggression.
Micro, yes, please.
Well, microaggression, the subtle, to me, it's subtle racism. Like, it's some people, it's unintentional. They don't like, I had a caller when articles about COVID-19 hitting the Black community came out. Caller pulls up, we're on hold, chatting, and he says, well, why does COVID-19, why is it killing more Black people? Is it because y'all eat greasy food and unhealthy food like fried chicken? What? Like, you don't realize how that can, like, you just stereotyped a whole group. I don't even eat greasy food like that. So you're asking the wrong person. It's the little things like clothing. I can't see your hands. Interpreter, you're too dark. It's the little things. Like, it's the little things. You really need to think about what you're saying before you say it.
And piggybacking that, the microaggressions about the fried chicken. Yeah, I got this one. Oh, you don't eat watermelon and fried chicken? I can't believe that. Do you know how rude that is? Did you ever ask me if I like sushi? No.
They just come out and start talking about soul food and sweet potato pie. I don't even eat that food. Like, what do you want me to say about it? I don't eat soul food like that. I don't like sweet potato pie. So you're trying to have a conversation with me based off my skin color, and you're all the way wrong. Like,
I just saw a comment. Are you from Africa? Really? Really? Do I sound South African or North African? Even if I didn't sound that way, what does it matter where I'm from? I'm doing my job.
right.
And you, as Alabama membership and everyone else that's joined us, have got to learn how to work together. I mean, even in our community, we fight with each other. And it's sad because you see it and think, well, it's okay if I do it too. We've all got to learn how to get along, first of all. But you cannot pigeonhole us as second string interpreters, second string individuals. We have feelings. We laugh, we talk, we go out, we hang out, we do everything you do. We just happen to have a little bit more melatonin. So I was trying to take deep breaths while I'm talking because for most of you who know me, I'm usually laughing. I'm usually having a good time. And most of the time it's covering pain. Not everybody that smiles is 100% happy. We smile because it is our coping skill. We smile because we know if we jump your ass, we're going to jail. because there's been several of you that I would love to just waylay. And I'm just telling the truth. And it's simply because I know how you view me. I know how you have behaved with me. I've been in the profession for a long time. So I've got a respect. But when I first started, like you were saying, Amber, I didn't know which way to turn. I had a few people who were supportive, but just how supportive were they? And then in this environment that we're living in right now, some of the most hateful stuff is going on. And a lot of you are condoning it, whether you want to admit it or not. And that's just the bottom line. Yes, Kenton.
I mean, and also the same token, everything that's been going on now. I mean, some interpreters that didn't pay me any attention at all, never really spoke to me, never lent me a hand to help, were never there for me when I asked, blatantly ignored me. Now, you know, how can I help? How can I be involved? Would you be interested in interpreting this? Or we really need a POC interpreter for this and that. When before, I mean, just walk right by me, unless we're in public. That kind of microaggression wore me out for the longest, to the point where, I mean, I wanted to quit several times, to the point where I wanted to reach out to you, Lee, because you're the only other Black male interpreter that I knew in the state, but I knew you were busy, so I didn't. So I was kind of suffering in silence a lot of times until, you know, I met, you know, Darren, an interpreter friend of mine in Mississippi, and LaShonda and her sister, her mom, and kind of set up my own little support group, because it's kind of like the microaggression. Sometimes you don't even notice it until later. A lot of times, like me and Shauna talk a lot. A lot of times I'll be like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to do this and this and this and this job. And then later I'll sit there and I'll be like, well, you know, they never asked me before. Why are they asking me now? And then I start thinking about all of the negative comments that I've gotten about my style, or, you know, just me being Black. And then I started doubting my skills. Like, am I good enough really? Or I'm just gonna be there? What am I gonna wear? Who's gonna be there? All of this stuff before I even get to focus on the job. What, you know, what are we gonna be interpreting? The event itself, I'm thinking about all of the negative stuff that I've heard, the comments that I've heard, all of that hits me at one time. And at one point I was just like, I don't have another Black male interpreter that can relate except for Lee. And back then, I mean, I didn't know you, so I thought it would be even weird to just call you and dump all of that kind of trauma on you and traumatize you. But I mean, it's really, really, really tough feeling like you're alone in different aspects. And male interpreters can relate to a lot of stuff, but being the only Black male interpreter in the area, I mean, it's a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of microaggression, a lot of just straight racism, a lot of, you know, just making me doubt myself. Because again, working with other interpreters, I doubt myself a lot because of all of the negative and the criticism. And there isn't anyone to give me the okay. And so, like, I heard that about you when I first heard about you, Lee, was that you were so expressive, and, you know, people didn't like that. They wanted you in your box. Those are things that were told to me about you. And when I got kind of the same comments, I didn't have anybody to say, like, you're fine. Like, you're good. It was more reinforcing those negative comments, to the point where I got overly sensitive, even to this day. Like, I'm like, hey, was I clear? Did you understand me? Was I too much? Was I moving too much? Was it this, like, you know, I just ask deaf people, hearing interpreters, like, just, I need now someone to tell me that what I'm doing is okay, because of all of that, you know, negative, or just critique in general, solicited or unsolicited. And so that really weighs on somebody. That's everything that's not even related to the job. That's just what I'm bringing to the job, with nobody to really guide me. And remote mentors have been available, and that can only get you so far, because they don't know the climate here, they don't know the culture here. And so, I mean, my experience has been pretty traumatic, to be honest, but because of good friends and peers like you all, you know, kind of kept at it. And so, yeah.
Good, good. And yeah, it's sad that the distance keeps what few of us there are separated. We're all busy, and but I will say, never be afraid to reach out. Because if we don't help each other, who will?
Right.
Especially on the level of understanding that we need.
But how many of us are there?
Right. That's what I'm
We're
saying.
all busy with our own trauma and experiences. And like this with the Black Lives Matter, I mean, as soon as it happened, I automatically felt this pressure, this responsibility.
Right.
I got to work a full schedule, but there's rallies and protests. I need to be there. If I can physically do it, I got to do it. And I called Amber, and I would have called Shonda. She's in Montgomery, and a lot of them were happening in our areas. So I was calling Amber like immediately because I felt like we got to do this on top of everything that we're dealing with, on top of the trauma that we experienced during the rallies and interpreting all of that pain and emotion. I mean, this Friday will be our 10th rally that we've interpreted in a few weeks, on top of all of the experience that Shonda and you have mentioned up until this point. And so, I mean, I haven't even taken a moment to really deep or process it or get it all out. I'm kind of still on this high until I know that maybe the rallies will settle down for a little bit, or maybe work will slow down or something. But it seems like right now there's always something, and everything right now is racially sensitive. And so I'm trying to, watch out for everything that comes my way, not be pigeonholed as a token, or, we need you because you're Black. That kind of stuff right now is very heightened. And so that's stressful in and of itself.
I guess I let it build up now, all the information that's come in. I will say this: if you are an interpreter and you know me and you're a white interpreter, your silence is microaggression. The fact that you have not checked in on me, I feel like that's microaggression, because you see this young Black girl starting out, and you would think through all of this, their family, friends, anybody, people in my generation are getting killed, and I'm out here interpreting that information.
Right.
And for you to just go through my page and not even think, hey, let me send her I'm thinking of you text, or, hey, what are you going through? Is everything okay? You don't know what it's like to be the only Black person in your class, do you? You don't know what it feels like to be the only one. And you would think, I graduated with so many. We were the largest class to come out of that university. I'm the only Black one. So where is that whole checking up on you, making sure everything is straight? Yes, you can post a Black box. I applaud you. But you have a working interpreter out here. 1, she's Black. 2, she's a female. 3, if Ken went there, I would have been by myself. Or, you know what I'm saying? Why not think about me in this time, in this day, during this movement? And it might not be my 10th, rally, but there have literally been weeks of me not being able to have sleep. Of course, I look gorgeous right now.
Of course
but,
you do.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to realize you're not there. Like, I really don't need you to go out and march for me, because I'm doing it for myself. What I'm saying is a simple text, a call, an email, a DM, something, I just feel like that's my take on what your microaggression is doing to me mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Lee, I want to add, I'm probably about to get emotional, but I want to be vulnerable right now, because like Ken was saying, there's so much that goes on before we get to the assignment. But I don't think, and I know that white interpreters will never understand, but speaking for me, and I'm pretty sure that the panel will agree, I started going downhill with Ahmaud's death, murder, because white people look at it and they see Ahmaud. They feel sorry for his family. When we look at it, we not only see Ahmaud, we see my dad is a runner. My dad is a Black male in America that likes to run. So I saw my dad, I saw my friends and my family when that young man was killed. So I'm trying to process that. And then we have Brianna. She's asleep in her house. She's dead. We're trying to process that, and then we see this man literally take his last breath because someone is so cold-hearted. And we're trying to process all this. We don't just see that person. It's not, oh, well, they're murderers now in jail, so life goes on. That's not how it happens for us. So we have these traumas building up with that. Then we have our own personal life that we're dealing with. And then we have to go into work and deal with microaggression, deal with racism from not only our colleagues, but clients as well. It is a lot to handle. I was in I don't think I've ever been in a bad space like that. I've never cried I'm not a crier. I'm not a crier at all. I have cried so much this past month and a half.
Ditto.
I can't even tell y'all how hard it was to get out of bed sometimes, but y'all would never know because I got on the Zoom meetings and I was smiling. Like he said, it was a coping skill. I had to smile, but inside I'm scared. I'm scared for my friends. I'm scared for my family. I'm heartbroken for these people that are going through these experiences simply because of their color. They're being murdered because of the color of their skin. It's ridiculous. So we're going into work with all this, and you see us smiling, you see us doing our jobs. So I just wanted to be vulnerable for a minute so y'all can see, like, it's not all smile. It's not. So I hope that will help you be more aware of how you're treating us, how you're interacting with us.
And just to piggyback off of that, with me and Kenton doing these protests, I have literally cried each protest that I've been at while the protest was happening. And the one that hit the most was Homewood, where we had to, lay on the ground for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And I cried the entire time to the point where it really hit me. It really did. And Kenton's up there, he had a brave face. I mean, he was standing strong and all that. And here I am just on the ground, like, and then they're like, okay, moving on to the next thing. And I remember Kenton was like, are you okay? Can you do this? I was like, fine, let's go. Let's do this. You have to realize it's so much strength from me being down on the ground to getting up on a platform and interpreting for people who might not even be there, but they're there and I feel you. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot. It's that coping method, using those teeth.
Listen, I give y'all props because I tried to do one. I lost. They had a 1 minute and 46-second moment of silence. I couldn't handle it. I lost it. Thankfully, it was only like 2 minutes after that, and then it ended. But I'm not in the mental and emotional state right now to do it. I'm exhausted. I'm mentally and I'm emotionally exhausted. So I definitely give y'all props for going.
And Amber, and it's sad because you knew you could get up and go home. You could get up and leave. You knew you were not trapped on the ground. But everyone here has to understand, as I said before, just because we smile doesn't mean we're happy. I never know if somebody's gonna hit me in the head going where I go. I have some of the most racist people at some of the facilities I go to. It's bad when a deaf person asks you, what do you sound like when you voice for me? Do you sound educated or do you sound like a thug? This is what I got. And I had to deal with that, but I took a deep breath and I kept going. And I said, for your information, I am highly intelligent. Thank you very much. And I said, and my voice is like silk. Have a nice day. They never asked me that again. And If it wasn't for some of my dear friends, if it wasn't for caffeine, because I'm here to tell you, self-disclosure, I have depression. This does not make me motivated. This does not make me want to go out and talk to anybody. I go out simply because I refuse to allow myself to be trapped in a hole. I go out because I know there are people out there who truly give a damn. I go out because I know if I stop, that's going to be the end of me. And I'd be double damned if I let what's going on in this world make me give up. And if that means cutting loose some of you that are sitting here, so be it. I get my scissors and I release you, because I will not put up with it from this point forward. I have never put up with it, but I've been kind of quiet. But as everybody else said, it's time to speak up. Listen if you want to, plug your ears if you want to, don't care. Just know this: we plan on surviving with or without your help. Unfriend me, do whatever you need to on social media. I don't care, because I'm done, flat out done. So like me for what I am or move on. Like us all. We got each other. What do you have besides hate? Not saying you all do, but what do you have that makes you more worthy than any of us? If you can show me that, I will bow to you and kiss your ass. But if you can't show it to me, you may kiss mine. And it's that simple. Because I am going to persevere whether you like it or not. Now, with that being said, I need a deep breath for a moment, excuse me. I have been interpreting since 1996. Yes, ma'am. I saw that look. How you doing? How you doing? See, you didn't know me like that, did you? Okay. I've been interpreting longer than you've been alive, probably. Almost. See. But see, I can laugh too. Contrary to popular belief, I smile a lot. I'm actually a very nice person. Some people wouldn't think you give me. But I've been interpreting since 1996. And along the way, I've met some awesome people. Awesome people on both sides of the color spectrum, no matter, because I'm not here to say everybody's hateful, everybody's against us. That's not why we're here. We're here to educate you to try to understand better why we feel the way we do, why we behave the way we do sometimes. I would talk to a tree if I thought it would smile at me, okay? But I've been told I'm unapproachable. I'll talk to a walnut, okay, people? I mean, that's just how much I like to talk. But for you to size me up because you saw me in deep thought, it looks like I'm mad or, okay, the smile muscles get weak occasionally. We got to rest the face occasionally. Not everybody smiles 100% of the time. So along the way, mentors were Black, mentors were white, mentors were whatever nationality. I consider myself international because I like people from all over. And until especially my brothers and sisters in Alabama, until you can get rid of your myopic views of the world and realize that Alabama is not a country, it's a state. And there are other people outside of those boundaries, other people that are going to be different from you. You have got to learn how to get along with people who are different from you. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to like them, but at least be respectful to them. The person who got me started in interpreting was a Black female. I started out volunteering just because I wanted to increase my language ability, working at a summer school program with deaf kids. This lady saw I had potential, made an appointment without my knowledge at the university, and told me, I know you're off Monday, you better go. And I went, and I thank her to this day for that push. Fortunately, I had someone in my corner. To have to, and I'll say it until I actually turn blue, and I can, for us to be here simply because of Black Lives Matter is sad. This should have been important a very, very long time ago. Yes, ma'am.
Kenton is my witness. About a year ago, I wanted to have a conversation similar to this because I was on Facebook. I saw a video for what I would consider a very diverse event. And I'm watching the video, and all I see is white hearing interpreters and white deaf interpreters. So I'm a little confused. I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they didn't reach out to me, which is fine. So I contact, no POC has, no Black interpreter has been contacted. So then a week later, I see that the headliner is a whole Black female rapper. And I'm just really confused at this point. Like, why didn't I see any POC in the video? Like, why are we not being involved in these diverse events? So I was told the people that I needed to contact, but honestly, I didn't feel comfortable going to them because I felt like it was going to be, oh, it's just a Black interpreter, she's just mad. They weren't going to really understand it. So this has really been brewing for a while. And it's time that we make some changes. There's no reason, there's one reason that we're not involved in agencies, and I'll say for myself, it's because I'm not putting myself out there like I should. Like last year, I whined and complained, there's no diversity, but I understand that I have to step up and take that role. But I also need other people to understand that you need to make us feel welcome. Because it's hard to want things, but we don't feel well. I've seen it too many times. I've seen organizations, they have one Black person so they can say they're diverse, but they treat that person like crap. They don't involve them in anything. It's just the token Black person. We have the Black person, we're checking that box. No, we need to be involved, and we need to feel comfortable being involved.
Yes.
I mean, I agree 100%. And like you said, like whenever I feel that way, and I'm like, man, they need more diversity in whatever setting that is. But then I'm like, wait, diversity is gonna mean me, Shonda, Lee, or Amber. Shonda ain't gonna do it based on what it is. I'm like, I don't want to be, by myself. That's what it comes down to. Is like the same conversation, the same cycle. Like there needs to be diversity here. At that event you're talking, there needs to be diversity, but it's like, well, Shonda, Amber, Lee, and me, And so it's either we're going to do it or we're not going to do it. And it's a lot of pressure. And then when you get asked after the fact, after you get up there and you notice that, man, this would have been a lot better if we had a POC, consulted with a POC or something, then the next time you get asked. And then I don't want to do it then because I feel like, it's kind of like either out of obligation or you saw where you missed out on the benefit of having, a person of color, an interpreter of color, and now you want one for whether it be to check the box or whether you kind of learned your lesson the hard way the first time. But again, that pressure is always there. Whenever diversity comes up, whenever I hear that word in, say, Alabama, I'm like, well, it's me, Shonda, Amber, and Lee. And I think about the geography and I'm like, well, Lee's out, or, it's just the distance alone. And so I don't know, it's just a lot of pressure, not constantly.
But there's enough. There's enough pressure. It may not be constant, but there's enough.
It's constant.
Also, when you think about the invitation that you do send, that because you are a POC, I don't know why that feels that always has to be the sentence that is added.
That.
There we go, coming out. That sentence does not need to be added. Like, because we need more POC or because we need diversity, that right there is like you didn't even think of me as a human. You think of me as a trophy. That's what you're using me for.
My former job used to send me to the bad areas of this city simply because I was a Black male. And I hate to tell you, when I open my mouth, the first thing I hear, where you from, who your people, because they ready to cut me because they think I'm with the man, okay? So, I mean, just because we are of a color does not mean that we're always going to be appropriate. However, when you do approaches for these things, make sure you do it the right way. Look at the skill. And I like what you said, stop starting with that sentence. We need more interpreters of color. So would you do it? No, I will not do it. Not for that reason. No, I'll do it because I know I can and I would like to do it, but not because you thought of me as that person. I would like, if the panel doesn't have any more comments. I think we covered most of the topics. I'm not going to go back and forth on the screen with people asking questions if you would like to ask questions or make comments. What I would ask is that you type your question or comment directly, and then I will express it to the audience. If you see me do this, that means they're coming in too fast. Please slow down. Anybody have any comments, audience-wise? organization. I am quote unquote one of you, but yet you don't take the time to introduce yourself. Don't talk to me now. I don't want to talk to you now. I mean, you know, what's the point? Oh, well, we got to do something because everybody's up in arms and I want everybody to know that I wanted that a long time ago. We wanted support a long time ago. Working from already being pushed down, already criticizing ourselves because we know what you're thinking already. We can't produce what we need to. When you get up in the morning, you're excited, you're ready to face the day. And as soon as you step across the threshold of any place that is making you feel less than worthy, all of your energy is gone, all of your motivation out the door. You go in, you automatically go on automatic pilot, do your job, and you get the hell out of the building. Simply because you know you have no one there to lift you up if you need it. So, Kent, as far as approaches, if I find one, I will let you know because there hasn't been one. We have approached each other. There hasn't been anything from the outside. Have we blocked it? No. It's just no one has ever approached us to see what we need. Kenton said it best. Who wants to go to an appointment where your team is going to be bashing you? I don't want to do, I'd rather work by myself for 8 hours before I work with someone who's going to sit there and criticize me the entire time. And they may be worse than me. But yet they're going to come at me from this negative standpoint because in their little myopic brain, they saw my color first. It may not be a conscious thing, but it's there. Why do you think people talk about the South so much? Why do you think a lot of people don't say where they're from? Because they don't want people to associate them with the negative aspect of living in the South. Yes, it's all over the country. Yes, it's all over the world. Why do you think the world finally stood up and said, this has got to stop? This isn't just a national thing. This is global. So if you think in your own little cluster that there's nothing wrong, you are sadly mistaken.
Leah, I want to add, there are a few people in here definitely hearing that I have a very good relationship with.
Right, right.
And I feel like we have a good relationship because we can respect each other. But for a majority, most of the time, especially if it's a new assignment, I am automatically on, my stress level is high because I feel like I have to go in there and prove myself. I can't have a bad day. This is the first time they're going to see me. I can't have a bad day. I can't even breathe wrong because if I breathe wrong, oh, there goes that Black interpreter. That's how I feel.
You know, did I wear the right color?
Yes.
Is my hair too black? And I don't mean color. You know.
There was one interpreter, she said that, and I hope she won't mind me telling her story, but a white guy popped up on her screen. She had an afro. He told her that he didn't like it and he would take a lawnmower to it if he could. Wow. Why do you feel that's appropriate to say to someone? That's not okay. We had one interpreter, she's in the middle of interpreting, a Black interpreter, she's in the middle of interpreting for a white client. The white client starts talking about how Black people ain't shit, that all they do is kill each other, all they do, this, that, and the other. This is what we have to subject ourselves to.
On the daily.
On the daily. Again, in addition to everything else that's going on, it's not easy, guys. I promise you. I was crawling out of bed. I didn't have energy. The only reason I started back to work was because I saw my sister going to work, and she was my motivation. I knew if she could do it, then I could do it. So I started going out in the community. I didn't want to.
Right.
It's hard.
Right.
It's hard.
Well, I think this might be a good stopping point for us and for everyone that attended tonight. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And hopefully I can thank you for your understanding. I don't expect you, for those of you who don't agree with us, I don't expect you to change overnight, if at all. For those of you who are our allies, we thank and appreciate you. So just remember, there's a lot more going on with us physically, mentally, emotionally. I know the social media word privilege, I don't like that because I got privilege too. So there. My thing is, I look at it as almost being entitled, because whether we want to agree on it or not, we all came here. None of us are natives, not unless you're Native American. But yet somehow, out of all these years that we've been here, leaving a country that wasn't treating you fairly, still cannot look back at that historical event and see that we're not being treated fairly. It's sad. And with the right medication and robot parts, I'll probably see it happen again. But I like to joke, sorry, but all joking aside, we're hurting. We're hurting. And we don't feel like the bandage of the organization that we belong to is covering the wound. So thank y'all so much again for your time. Thank you, interpreters. I appreciate you so much. Much love. And thank you, Chris, for allowing us to have this opportunity to speak to everyone.
Lee, can I just add one thing?
Sure.
I just want to say that this conversation has been great. I hope we have more, but it's not enough to just have a conversation. We have to make changes.
You have
and we have to. And they say that being comfortable, when you're uncomfortable, that's when change starts to happen. So I hope that there were some uncomfortable moments and we all can self-analyze and figure out how we can come together and work together. We work for a diverse community. We need to be diverse. We need to figure out how to work together.
And I mean, I can't speak for any other panelists, but I mean, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I think there needs to be more of these conversations. But I don't want anyone to look at me and think that, that when I am smiling and happy, that I can be happy. I'm a happy person. I'm not like suffering every single day.
Right.
But just know that, we all have multiple layers and it's not always surface level stuff. And, I just hope that we can continue to have this conversation, like Shonda said, actually see some change happening as a result.
ITP students, younger generation of interpreters, continue to push forward. This is not the last conversation that will happen. So continue to be educated on this subject because it will happen, sadly. Okay. Much love to all of you to be able to watch this and stomach through it. Cause I mean, obviously we can do it too. So, also with younger generation interpreters, continue to advocate for younger interpreters because that number in ITPs is slowly dwindling and it needs to grow. It needs to grow as a profession and it needs to grow it just needs to grow, whatever. So.
Blossom.
Blossom, there you go. Y'all know y'all helping me with my vocabulary.
See, that's what a good mentor does. How you doing?
All right, this is gonna be serious.
Well, we can laugh too. Like you can't, it's not all vinegar and onions.
Show the pearly whites.
Right.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much to you guys. Honestly, like I think Amber, you just said to stomach through it. First of all, I'm getting text messages during this thing from participants saying, I'm blown away. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to process this. Thank you for having the courage to do this. Like, I mean, I truly am blown away by what you have shared. And again, like Lee and Amber and Kenton, Shonda, y'all have said, this cannot be the last conversation, and it shouldn't have been the first. And I will be first to say from Alred, from ALRD, please forgive us for not having this conversation before now. So I look forward to having more conversations like this, where you're right, we as colleagues, as professionals, as family, as you want to call it in the South, what they say so often,
Mama Nim, yeah.
we don't act like family, but we want to be. And in order to do that, we all have to sit at the table. We all have to have a conversation, and we need to listen for real. So thank you. I want to thank both interpreters. I mean, fabulous job. My audio went out at one point, and so I was just using the interpreters, and I was like, this is better than hearing them. Like, I mean, it was
What?
both the interpreters did a phenomenal job. So thank you very much. So okay, I think that's it. And we have recorded this. I'll discuss with the panelists what they would like to do with the recording. And we will hopefully maybe have another one of these soon. So thank you again, and everyone for participating tonight and for the process of registering and patience with the link. So, okay, everyone take care and have a good rest of the week and be safe.
Thank you, guys. Yes, John.
Kitten, Lee, wait.